Hi everyone, we have Paul back with us and we're going to discuss the Unibet Premier League Finals night. Paul, thanks for coming in again. The grueling 16 weeks is now over and we have a winner.
I think a lot of dart players and a lot of people associated with the Premier League are maybe looking forward to a bit of a rest. It's been a very brutal start to 2018, but what a fantastic finals night it was for a lot of people. I think the sponsors, the PDC were thrilled with everything that's happened, especially with the way things finished. From a standard perspective, what an absolutely brilliant night at the O2.
No, definitely. And again, Mighty Mike reigns supreme, 4 Premier League titles now as he chases Phil's 6. I don't think it's going to be long until that record goes.
I think it's fair to say he's going to get there. A lot of Phil's records I don't think are going to tumble, but I think that one's in serious danger because obviously the Premier League has not been going for as long as World Championships and other things like that. So this is very gettable for Michael, and he will want to eclipse Phill in that respect. As far as world titles are concerned, I think he wants to eclipse Raymond more than Phill, but that will come in time. But as far as I'm concerned, the best player won on the night, and he peaked at the right time, didn't he?
No, definitely. First game on was a repeat of the World semi-final. Rob Cross against, obviously, Mike. Rob looked injured. I know he said he wasn't in the press afterwards, but there wasn't the same intensity in that throw, and you could see it was almost a bit limp getting to the board at times, and Mike just did a number on him. Yeah,
we touched on the fact that when Michael sees a wounded animal, that he's not going to be shy in taking that animal and throwing it out the window. And Rob, I think over the last few weeks, has started to struggle with a few things, obviously the tiredness and the injury as well. I feel for him because it's been a real baptism of fire, this Premier League for him, and I think getting to the semi-finals was a massive achievement for him. I think when he's in it again next year, I think he'll be more prepared for it and he'll be better equipped to potentially mount an assault on getting that title. It won't be easy, but Michael was way too good, and I applaud Rob Cross for one thing. In the second leg, he showed some intensity, he showed some willingness. But I think even he deep down thought that this is just a bridge too far. Michael was too good in that semi-final, and he really did put things in place to have that monumental performance in the final.
Like you said, in that second leg, he went to put his foot on the gas and there was just nothing in the tank. It was just absolutely empty after the whirlwind he's had.
Yeah, you can't accelerate when there's nothing behind the pedal.
Yeah.
And speaking to Chris Mason on TalkSport about that very subject, the tank was empty. He said beforehand on the press day that he was willing to empty the tank, but I think the tank was already empty. He gave it his best shot, and he didn't walk away from semi-final with Michael as a wounded animal, in my opinion. I think he walked away with his chin high, and he can walk away with some pride. And when you do that, I think you've got to have a smile on your face. And I applaud him also for taking the weekend off from Milton Keynes after, because that was the right thing to do. And I think looking at his schedule for the next few seasons, I think he's got to do a bit more of that.
Well, I think he said literally he was going on the Friday, he was like, no, I'm not playing Milton Keynes, we're just getting away with the family and ignoring darts for a week.
Yeah, you've got to forget about this game sometimes. It's I say this line so many times, and I apologise to everybody watching this who sees me repeating myself, but Doyle Brunson, the great poker player, said, it doesn't matter how much you love something, you have to take a break from it at some point. I read his book, Super System, once, all about how he was playing for months and months and months, and the brain just goes numb after a while. You've got to be fresh, and Rob Cross wants to be fresh for the World Cup, and taking a break between the end of the Premier League and the start of the World Cup is the right thing to do.
Second semi-final again was a breakthrough moment for Bully Boy. Beats Gary Anderson and makes his first major final, and he played very well.
He did, and I'm going to put my hands up and say I didn't expect that result.
I didn't either.
In our creme de la creme with Live Darts, we talked about who we thought would make it. I thought Gary would probably get the job done quite easily there, and then we'd be in for a really close match with Michael and Gary. It wasn't the case. I think the start for Michael Smith was key. He got himself in front and he just asked a few questions of Gary, and Gary wasn't up to it that night. I think he had an off night, and he does have that now and again. Michael was obviously emotional at the end of that, beating his mentor and getting to a massive major final. I think he did himself so much credit in this Premier League campaign, Michael Smith, and he is a different player now to what he was when he won his first ranking event in 2011, when he beat Chisnell in a UK Open final. He was raw back then with great talent, but now he's experienced and he's got some battle scars, and he's got the stitching off now. He's a brilliant experienced player, Michael Smith now. I do wonder what he's going to do in the future. I'm very excited.
For me, the turning point was leg 4, when Gary's hit back-to-back 180s and still lost the leg to go 3-1 down because Michael just was on his coattails, even with the 180s. That was the turning point where Michael Smith beforehand, I think, would have lost that leg 2-2. You never know then, but he was like, no, this is my time.
Yeah, sometimes you get that feeling in your blood. You say, this is my game. I'm ready to win this. Yeah. And there's no better feeling, trust me. Because when you're in the middle of a match and you're a long way from the finish line and you're already feeling that is a great feeling to have. It just gives you confidence. And the way that he didn't mess around with the end as well, Michael Smith, he got the job done when he needed to get it just full stopped. I thought it was a great performance.
I think it was a double 11 to go 9-6 up or 9-7 up around that, and he pinged it first dart when everyone was going, is he going to split it? And he just like, no, one dart, yes. That's
the thing about his action though, he doesn't have time to think. No. Thinking with his game is something that could kill his action. But it's so smooth and so quick and so swift that when he doesn't think, what he does in practice just takes over. And he does enough of it, let's put it that way. Yeah. But he's another one. He was in Milton Keynes at the weekend. Not entirely sure that was the right choice, but he actually looked all right at the weekend. And he's someone who can have a break now and come next month back to European tours. I think he'll be a massive danger for the rest of the season, especially when he's looking to defend his Gibraltar Darts Trophy. Final,
we had Michael versus Michael. What a spectacle they served up as well.
Yeah, telephone number averages, and Michael Smith has definitely had worse performances than that and dominated people. I mean, 8-2 up Van Gerwen and averaging 120.
It was higher than that. It was 120. He was on the world record with 123. I think he was 0.1 off of it at one point.
Yeah, and we all wanted him to do it, and it's a shame there had to be a break after 10 legs. I feel that if there wasn't a break then Michael may have shaded it. Because the momentum was there, the intensity was there, and Michael, if you look at his face, Michael Van Gerwen that is, if you look at his face, he knew.
He came in the press room afterwards and said he looked at his average during the break and knew he was on it and almost tried too hard when he came back.
Worst thing you could possibly do. Yeah. Dart players don't want to know about averages until a game is over. They like to be in the moment. You get in that zone, the last thing you're thinking about is averages. But if you start thinking about averages mid-game, that's when it starts getting a bit jittery. Yeah. For me, if the break killed Van Gerwen for 2 reasons. One, he had time for his adrenaline to dissipate. Secondly, because he's looked at the average, I think there was too much pressure on that performance. But ultimately, it's still one of the most impressive final performances I've ever witnessed.
I think I tweeted at the break, I said, Michael Smith's 8-2 down here and not put a foot wrong. Which, how can you say that when he's averaging over 100? And I think Van Gerwen went off something like 11, 11, 12, 14, 11 or something along those lines. It was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, he is a ridiculous dart player, and we've said it to a blue in the face or green in the face. But this is what he does, and it's one of the reasons why he's got so many titles. It's why he's got a 4th Premier League. It's 275 grand richer, which is probably a drop in the ocean to him. But you and I both know, I think he celebrated that win quite well, didn't he?
He looked slightly hungover on the Friday, I'm not going to lie, when we went to an exhibition at Lakeside. He wasn't great.
Well, I think he deserves it. Yeah. He's worked for months, he's spent so much time away from his family. He's entitled to go and enjoy it with his management, his sponsors. And Robin van Persie as well, who turned up to watch you. I don't think he was particularly level-headed that night. I think he was having a great time. But it's nice when the celebrities turn up at the finals night and support their favourite players. I know Scott Quinnell was there as well, who got a walk on with the television crew as well, which was good fun. But no, it's been a great Premier League, and it's been the first one since Phil Taylor retired. The question has been answered. Is the Premier League all right with Phil Taylor? Absolutely. Can't wait for next year. I've got a few people that I think should be in there, but they've got to prove it over the next few months.
I was going to say, like you said, that was the question, the talking point. There were so many debutants. Phil walked away and we were like, is this going to work? And the boys smashed out of the park, let's be fair.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the new talent, some of the guys did feel a little bit of a struggle at the start. Obviously, Gerwin Price. We've already mentioned with Creme de la Prem that we think he'll be back because he's the kind of guy who keeps knocking on that door and eventually the door will be knocked down. Other guys who are getting a little bit older, questions will be asked. Will Whitlock get another chance? Will we see a lot more of Gary Anderson in the next few seasons because he's starting to slow things down? We'll see a lot more of Van Gerwen because he's in his prime right now. I reckon we'll probably see Michael for at least another 5 to 6 years. If he keeps winning like this, he might even have early retirement on his mind.
I was going to say, that's the thing, that ambition, that hunger is still there. He still celebrates every title on the stage as if it's his first. You can't tell the difference, and that's the mark of a true champion, because everyone means something.
Yeah, I look at some of the wins I've had in the PDC. My first Pro Tour win in Australia, 2009, I cried. Obviously cried when I won the Players' Championship finals, which was rather momentous. But as I won more after that, it became more commonplace. I know when Michael wins Pro Tours, it's pretty standard for him, but when he wins European Tours and Majors, there's still that passion there and that willingness to add another one to the tally, because I think he gets a secret kick out of having a bigger gap between him and the next guy. You know, Peter Wright, who's won a bucket load of European Tours, but he's won like 3 times as many. So he loves being the pinnacle of the sport, and I can't imagine him being anywhere else for the next few years.
We were chatting to him, the world ranking's on his mind, because he's been stuck on 1.7 million for ages. I know that sounds ridiculous, but he wants to go through that £2 million.
Yeah, who are we to say that he can't do it? He could win anything he wants. He could potentially have a rest of 2018 and pick up points where he's missed 2 years ago. He can get there. He really can get there.
Yeah. And
it'd be interesting to see how it goes, because prize money is being lifted. If he's going to get there, I feel he's got to win the world title this year.
You touched on the world title. I know it grates him. He's never defended it either. He's won it, lost, won. To go to that Phil Taylor level, does he need to defend a world title, in your opinion?
Maybe, because you think about Adrian Lewis, he's defended a world title. Gary Anderson has defended a world title. Phil has. Eric has back in the 80s. Maybe, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. I think the most important statistic for Michael is that he just gets as many world titles as he possibly can. And when he gets to 6, and I say when because I think he will, if he can get to 6 world titles, I think that could be the time where he says, you know what, I've done enough.
Yeah, obviously Premier League's done. They're on the horizon. We've got the first World Series event coming up. We're going to the Schalke Stadium in Germany. 18,000 tickets sold already. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just gutted I'm not going. You know, I love my music and I love my darts, and I don't think there's any sporting event for me personally in the world in the next week that I'd want to go to more than that. I'm intrigued to see what the crowd is like at Gelsenkirchen. I'm buoyed for the players, you know, the likes of Gabriel Clemens, who's playing so well at the minute. You know, young Jamie Lewis, who's going to be able to play in front of that massive crowd. But the guys on the fringes too, you know, not just your Barnevelds and your Rob Crosses and your Dimitri Vandenbergs, you know, your marquee guys, but the Stefan Stoikers and the Manfred Bildels, you know, these guys, they've got an amazing opportunity to do something that they probably never thought they would ever do. They're going to be rock stars for the day, and they've got a great opportunity. Ultimately, I don't think those guys can win their games, but what an experience for them. And German darts has never been in a better place with the 3 people who are really taking it forward, with Max, with Martin Schindler, and Gabriel Clemens, who's really come to the party this year. German darts is in a great place. We have to start asking the question, post Schalke, is it time for darts to maybe branch away from Germany a little bit and for them to get less home nation qualifiers? They've had a lot of opportunities over the last few seasons. Maybe it's time for some other countries to get those opportunities.
I'm also interested to see how this plays out, because the World Series events are normally over a weekend, and it's literally all on one day. We've got bands playing. It's going to be an absolute spectacle of darts.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on this. I think maybe the World Series format of doing it over 2 or 3 days, it could be under threat if this goes well. They may start to look at China and Australia and New Zealand and potentially condensing everything into one day. I think it could possibly work. When you intensify something and make it shorter for the modern public, it just lends itself to people being involved in one crazy day. You know, we talk about the younger generation now having shorter attention spans. Well, maybe the World Series format, bringing in it to one day, is the way to go. Everybody else is happier having, you know, competing, you know, over one day as opposed to 2 or 3. More time to relax, more time to travel. And it could work that way, but it all depends on whether Gelsenkirchen does smash it out the park. And I have every feeling that it will.
As I say, I can't see it not working. I have to say,
I haven't got any doubt in my mind whatsoever.
It's going to go off the scale.
Yeah.
Obviously, before we go, Paul, as well, congratulations. What a weekend you've just had in Milton Keynes. Qualified for both Europeans and 2 great runs in the Pro Tour. Must be over the moon.
Yeah, I tweeted out saying that I was happy, but I wasn't content. I lost out to Peter Wright on Sunday. He was just too good for me. Now my tank was almost empty at that point because it was a pretty mental week. But I was disappointed to lose to Gabriel Clemens on Saturday because it was 5-5. I took it 104 to get to 5-5, and it was my darts in the last leg, but I just didn't have it in leg 11. I need to find more in leg 11 matches. I've lost a couple this year that I'm disappointed about, but the importance of that weekend, just getting ranking points in the Pro Tours, but getting into the European Tour events for next month is massive for my season, because if I wasn't in those, I'd be under the pump to not just keep my card, but getting into the race for the Worlds and other events like that. So I've got great opportunities and I've just got to take them now. The
response of social media you must have been pleased with as well, because there was a lot of love around for the asset.
Yeah, and there was a few questions about the long sleeve top as well.
Yeah.
It was boiling hot outside, but inside Milton Keynes is a marble floor and it's very big. It was cold, and I'm not the biggest lad in the world. I get cold really, really easily, even though I'm from Northumberland. But I just felt like on Friday night, when it was a little bit colder in there, that I played better with the long sleeve top on, and when I was a bit warmer, so I decided to keep it on all weekend. I'm really grateful to some of the people out there who've given me a lot of love, because it's not always been the case. I've had a lot of criticism in the past, but it seems like things are turning, and I really appreciate the support that I've got from everybody.
That's great, Paul. Well, thanks very much. Always a pleasure to have you in at Live
Thanks,
Darts.
Phil. Cheers, mate.